1 minute, it's a symbol of progress. The next, a pile of rubble. The collapse of Bangkok's newest skyscraper leaves dozens buried and a nation in shock. But as rescue workers search for survivors, investigations uncover something darker, a conspiracy that could threaten every steel high-rise structure across Thailand. Under the sweltering sun of Bangkok's hot season, workers were building a state-of-the-art complex. The $63 million site included a 33-story skyscraper and conference center in the heart of Bang Su Commercial District and Transport Hub. The project attracted migrants from poorer regions, with entire families working side by side. But the ambitious plan faced criticism from the outset. One of its contractors, Italian Thai Development, had a tarnished reputation. A year before the construction began, its chairman was convicted of bribing officials. The incidents raised doubts about the company's practices. Yet, its questionable track record was an industry-wide problem. 6 months before the collapse, Thai authorities uncovered a disturbing issue. Several Chinese factories supplied construction sites with substandard steel. The discovery led to a nationwide recall. However, authorities couldn't guarantee all the steel had been confiscated. With tension mounting on all fronts, the build faced more criticism when issues surfaced with its management. Just 3 months before the collapse, an anti-corruption watchdog launched an investigation into the site. It found the project was plagued by worker shortages, which caused it to fall behind schedule. The delays were so severe that the government threatened to cancel its contract. In response, project managers began cutting corners to keep the 2026 deadline. It was a warning sign that shouldn't have been ignored. On March 28th, the tower's already topped out, but only 30% complete. Contractors have at least finished the core structure, so workers are installing its exterior windows. It's an ordinary day with up to 400 staff spread across every level of the building. But midway through the shift, the site begins to tremble. At first, staff thinks it's machinery vibrating the ground. But when they scan the area, a huge crane sways on top of the tower. By the time anyone realizes it, the ground itself is shaking. The structure gives way. People scatter in every direction, running onto the main road to escape the rubble. But a massive dust cloud is hot on their heels. It quickly overtakes them. It spills onto the main road, temporarily blinding everyone in its path. The last thing anyone hears is a deafening crash as the crane falls onto a mountain of concrete. When the dust settles, citizens notice the tower has disappeared from the skyline. It's a devastating blow for the families who moved to the area for work. Fortunately, the building crumbled vertically, so the damage is contained to the construction site. If it had fallen at an angle, it could have flattened the railway lines next door, potentially causing hundreds of fatalities. But it's little to comfort those who couldn't escape in time. One employee described the moment it happened. As concerned relatives try to contact loved ones, their phones light up with a delayed emergency notice. Bangkok had been struck by a 7.7 magnitude earthquake, one of the largest tremors in the city's history. The threat of aftershocks makes the situation even more urgent. The mound of rubble is unstable. Each passing minute reduces the odds of finding survivors. Shortly after the collapse, emergency teams reach the construction site. When the K-9 units arrive, they begin locating trapped workers and quickly confirm 3 people have died. By late afternoon, the military arrives to support the rescue operation. Ambulances stream in and out, carrying people away on stretchers. But from the growing crowd of relatives gathered on the street, Many are unaccounted for. As the hours pass, families become desperate for news. When an update finally comes in the early evening, it paints a bleak outlook. 81 people are confirmed missing, and the rescue effort has slowed due to aftershocks, making the area unsafe. But something else stands out that no one can explain. Although the tremors shook towers across the city, this is the only high-rise building to collapse. As the revelation spreads online, some notice there's a pattern. The tower's first developer, Italian Thai, is responsible for 2 failed structures. Midway through the government project, a section of the one Bangkok tower crumbled during construction. It was followed by the Rama 2 bridge disaster earlier this year, leaving dozens killed and injured. Commenters also highlight the company is involved in hundreds of projects across Thailand. When the mainstream media reports the connection, it spreads an atmosphere of panic across the nation. What if Thailand's entire infrastructure is a ticking time bomb? By the following morning, the rescue effort reached a critical stage. Survivors were at risk of dehydration due to the stifling heat. The hot weather also made it difficult for emergency crews to locate survivors with thermal imaging equipment. Still, responders detected signs of life from multiple people beneath the rubble, so the fire department deployed heavy machinery to remove debris. When the Prime Minister arrived at midday, at least 78 people were still missing. She announced the Thai government had launched an urgent investigation, which promised answers within 7 days. Given the known issues in the industry, authorities immediately suspected substandard steel was used during the construction. They sent samples from steel beams used in the building for analysis and barred contractors from entering the site. In the meantime, the Chinese government sent an earthquake specialist to investigate the tower's design. After surveying the damage, the engineer confirmed that a new building should have been designed to survive the earthquake. Officials then began to gather evidence from documents at the site. But when they searched the construction office that afternoon, they couldn't locate the tower's blueprints or other key information. At the same time, a local media team was reporting on the incident from the adjacent railway. While filming, they spotted several people carrying files into the rail yard. The group spoke a foreign language and quickly drove off when confronted. The incident was reported to the police, who arrested 4 Chinese nationals the next day. Sources vary, but they were found with at least 32 files from the project, including the missing blueprints. One of the men claimed to be a project manager. According to him, the group took the files to prepare insurance claims despite the ongoing investigation. It was the first sign that someone needed to cover their tracks. Unsurprisingly, news of the misplaced documents sparked allegations of corruption. That was until Thai officials announced they'd analyzed the steel from the site. The results confirmed that some of the materials failed to meet industry strength standards and were prone to breaking under stress. Since the metal beams were branded, it didn't take long to trace their manufacturer. Damningly, the company responsible, Jin Kehuan Steel, was already on the government's radar. Months before the disaster, a fatal fire broke out at its factory, and the inspection that followed uncovered a string of safety violations. The plant used outdated equipment, ignored safety measures, and broke environmental rules, prompting officials to suspend its license. While authorities weighed up the scale of the problem, the human toll mounted. 13 people were confirmed dead, and rescuers were struggling to find survivors. It was the worst news possible for tearful relatives.
ภาวนาขอให้เขารอดแต่พอมาเจอในสภาพอย่างเงี้ยเขาจะอยู่ตรงไหนอ่ะเขาจะอยู่ตรงมุมไหนเขาจะอยู่ชีวิตยังมีชีวิตอยู่ไหมแต่ลูกขอภาวนาขอให้เขามีชีวิตอยู่ทั้ง6 คน
ก็ภาวนาไม่อยากให้แฟนมาที่ตึกนี้ค่ะเพราะเขาทำงาน2 ที่ก็บอกว่าจะมารับพ่อกลับบ้านแต่ไม่ได้บอกเรื่องนี้
In response, international earthquake specialists joined the rescue effort, using 3D modeling to track how the tower fell. But with 75,000 tons of debris, they faced an uphill battle to free victims. As people began to lose hope, engineers discovered critical failures in the site's design. The developers used flat slab construction to build the tower, a technique where each floor or concrete slab rests on vertical columns, like a table balanced on legs. This leads to faster builds at lower cost, as the method requires minimal components. But it results in a frame that's vulnerable to lateral or sideways shaking. If a single column fails, it can cause the entire structure to collapse. Thai building codes require strict testing to ensure high-rise towers can withstand an earthquake. For this reason, contractors typically used reinforced concrete for skyscrapers. In this setup, builders put steel rods inside the concrete to increase its stability. These structures sway during tremors instead of crumbling and are widely used in seismic hotspots. The use of the flat slab method baffled engineers. But when authorities turned their attention to the project's second contractor, they realized it may not have been an innocent mistake. China Railway No. 10 Engineering Group was owned by the Chinese government. Its parent company relied on Chinese infrastructure projects for income, work which had dried up in recent years. This created pressure to secure opportunities abroad, as the developer was $211 billion in debt. According to whistleblowers, the company underpaid subcontractors throughout the build. They in turn used low-quality materials, including columns which were narrower than usual. Practically every aspect of the tower had issues, but a final factor doomed the project. Although the earthquake began in Myanmar, it struck close to the Earth's surface. This sent a powerful surface level or low-frequency waves towards Bangkok, which are most damaging to tall buildings. The city rests on waterlogged ground due to the Chao Phraya River running through it. So when the earthquake struck, it caused the soft soil to wobble like a bowl of jelly, amplifying the forces on structures. The building never stood a chance. It was clear that the tower's engineering was the cause of the failure, so authorities shifted gears. The case became a criminal investigation into negligence. In the weeks that followed, officials sifted through the confiscated files and began interrogating people of interest. Among them was the site's alleged supervisor. But when he was questioned, the engineer claimed he hadn't worked as a supervisor for 2 decades. If true, it suggests someone had forged his signature for over 5 years. It was another sign of corruption that demonstrated the mammoth task investigators were facing. The probe into the disaster is still ongoing, as the Prime Minister extended its initial deadline. According to reports, it continues to expose malpractice at every turn. Both developers and the faulty steel manufacturer are under investigation. Authorities have promised to hold them accountable. Still, critics argue these companies are only the tip of the iceberg, as it's unclear how regulators responded to the major warning signs. Many also question the safety of Thailand's infrastructure, concerns which have led to nationwide inspections. At the time of this writing, 92 lives have been lost, and 4 are unaccounted for. Watch this episode next if you found this video interesting. Please add a like and leave a comment if you want to support the channel.